All right. Welcome to today's Storyteller Poetry Review Love Story Series. I think we should be on number 6, number 7. I lose track because there's so much love. So, a quick announcement. March is the second anniversary of Storyteller Poetry Review, and Sharon is looking for a volunteer to host a Zoom birthday bash. If you can do that, please let Sharon know. And that doesn't have to be immediately. You can email her, whatever you need to do. So today, in addition to hosting, I'm going to be one of the 3 feature readers. We're going to first have Jacqueline Jules, and then Elaine Sorrentino, and then myself. And I will briefly introduce Jacqueline as follows. Jacqueline Jules is a former librarian who was intrigued by every book she put on the shelf. As a reader and as a writer, she doesn't restrict herself to one topic or genre. She's the author of Manna in the Morning from Kelsey Books, Itzhak Perlman's Broken String, I love that title, which was a winner of the 2016 Helen K. Chapbook Prize from Evening Street Press, Smoke at the Pentagon, Poems to Remember, and over 50 books for young readers, including My Name is Hamburger, the Zapato Power Series, and Never Say a Mean Word Again. Her poetry has appeared in over 100 publications. She has received the Library of Virginia Cardozo Award, the Spirit First Poetry Award, the Sidney Taylor Honor Award, an Aesop Accolade, the SCBWI Magazine Merit Award, and the Arlington Arts Moving Words Award. She lives on Long Island near Manhasset Bay and walks along the water every chance she gets. And Jacqueline, if you would put your web's address in the chat after you've done your reading, that would be great. So without further ado, Jacqueline.
Well, thank you very much for having me and for that lovely introduction. Um, I will be reading poems that have appeared on the Storyteller Poetry Review, and thank you so much to Sharon. Um, my husband, Alan, died a few months ago, and we were married for 29 years. This is the poem that I read at his funeral, and the title says it all. Perfect Husband for a Poet. Sifting the morning paper, my husband seizes the crossword and sits down with anticipation. He loves the mental somersault from clue to answer, seeing box letters assemble into interlocking units of meaning. He will consult frayed books, search the web, and call friends in his hunt to find the letters needed to fill the last 3 empty spaces. A moment of triumph he shares with a satisfied grunt. Words are toys for him, tools of play. Maybe that's why he married a poet, a woman who spends her days arranging and rearranging words until all the pieces fit into a poem she shares first with her husband, a man who understands the pleasure of picking just the right word. Alan was my second husband. This poem and the one that follows shares how lucky I felt to have a second chance at love. Philemon and Baucis. When Jupiter offered Philemon and Baucis any divine gift desired, the 2 old peasants lifted their lined faces like sunflowers toward the warmth of each other's eyes, asking only to die when the time came in the same moment, forever spared the pain of parting. If today, decades since we vowed to forsake first marriages ended in sorrow, we were offered one divine gift. I would request, like Philemon and Baucis, the promise of your body nestled beside me at the end of every day, until, satiated by the years, I leaned against your shoulder for an eternal rest, forever entwined in your arms. A less loving man. You may not think I notice your quick yes when asked to mail a letter or pick up milk. How you make the bed every single morning. How you don't ridicule my worries, but Google questions, leaning over to share your screen so we can read together. A less loving man might be less patient when I go downstairs to check the stove one more time before bed. A less loving man might leave the toilet seat up or take the last chocolate. Small things I treasure because I remember how large they felt in a prior life with a less loving man. This poem is pretty self-explanatory. It gives a picture of one of Alan's enduring traits. It's something I used to tease him about. And it's called Too Sentimental for a Trash Can. Snug tuckly beside sweaters he seldom wears, I find a bird's nest of scraps, concert tickets, business cards, a receipt from a diner on a drive to New York, gas station stops, grocery lists, ATM slips too faded to read, all stashed in a drawer like a magpie's shining stolen treasure. My husband is too sentimental to use a trash can, unable to toss an empty pill bottle without prompting. It makes me feel safe as a wife, knowing I won't be easily discarded. Relationships take work. This poem and the next one explores how people can work together, even in times of a little strife. The honeybee. I almost reacted, almost questioned how he could dare complain about more pots to wash when I cooked all afternoon. Then I remembered the honeybee, how it dies a gruesome death when its stinger embeds in human skin. The bee tears a hole in its belly, pulling out the sac of venom. A honeybee values peace. It only stings when threatened, not over something as petty as who cooked and who cleaned up, and certainly not when it could rest, like I am right now, with feet up on the couch, while my honey loads the dishwasher and scrubs every pot. This is The Road to Hana, and Sean should recognize this from it's on Maui. The road to Hana is paved, but narrow and winding. It takes 5 miles at least to get used to the motion, to be prepared after turning left for a subsequent turn to the right. At first, we counted the curves and the one-lane bridges, resolved to challenge the tour book's numbers. But as coastline careened in and out of flowered jungle, such interests waned. 56 bridges versus 54, 400 turns to the right, 200 to the left, or 300 each. weigh even. How could numbers be important amidst colossal green, cascading down cliffs, above, below, so lush we could feel the leaves filling our lungs, sustaining our life together on this miraculous road where one curve follows another and taking turns has saved us from crashing over the edge. Marriage is about making memories together. I treasure the good times, and I miss them, as the last two poems share. Another couple in our circle. When she told me they were parting after 33 years, I thought of all the nights we've slept side by side, all the nestled mornings stealing snuggles at 6:30. But she said she'd rather wake alone without words over who picks up the bananas, who pays the gas bill, who does the laundry or mows the lawn, all the banter that bonds me to you as we brush teeth and hair and dress for another day of returning home to each other. The husband she's leaving may have attended her father's funeral, but he did not drive all night to reach the hospice in time. Her husband did not carry boxes the week she moved Grandma to assisted living. He had a meeting the morning she took the dog for his final visit to the vet. But not you, who bought candies for my sister after surgery, who traveled with us for second opinions, who did not disappear when my grief made your needs invisible. I can't consider life without the countless meals and music and movies we shared. All the moments that make a marriage both mundane and memorable. And while another couple in our circle must separate from history made together, I pray we have the chance to make more. This was written in Alan's last year after his health kept him more or less homebound. Before you needed a chair in the shower. We often spend Sunday afternoons at scenic spots. We like those sprawling parks created from old estates with grand houses and grounds. Now I leave you home when I drive away with my neighbor Shelley, already widowed. You couldn't navigate this leaf-covered trail with your cane, while I can still step quickly uphill over exposed tree roots. Shelley, cheerful beside me, suggests a stop after our walk at the market down the road, the kind of place we would have visited before your first trip to the ER. Returning to the car, I think of your stammering steps from couch to table, the groaning effort to sit back down in a chair, and wish it wasn't so painful to mention how much we both miss what we used to do together. Thank you.
And thank you so much. Those were wonderful poems and really well written. I'm very impressed. And I hope you'll put your website address in the chat so that others can record and visit that. Our second reader today will be Elaine Sorrentino, who was a communications director at South Shore Conservatory in Hingham, Massachusetts. She's been published in Minerva Rising, Willowa Journal, Glass, which is a journal of poetry, Ekphrastic Review, Gyroscope Review, Quartet Journal, Verse Virtual, yay, New Verse News, One Art, Muddy River Poetry Review, Etched Onyx Magazine, Agape Review, Wilda Morris, and Haiku, is that pronounced Haikuniverse? Haikuniverse?
I think it is. I usually say haiku universe, but and by
It's
the way, I still am employed as the communications director for South Shore Conservatory.
good for you. I have more good things to say about you. She's the facilitator of the Duxbury Poetry Circle. In 2009, she started a tradition of posting weekly, lighthearted, feel-good 575 poems on Facebook for Haiku Tuesday, which has developed a respectable following over the years. A two-time breast cancer survivor, Elaine, along with poet Zvinia Orlowski, is that anywhere close to right?
Yes, very close.
Conceptualized and presented a program called Pink Lemonade, where writers, artists, and musicians share art inspired by their experience with breast cancer, either as a survivor or as support for a loved one. They are planning to present a second version of this awareness program to a wider audience in 2025. Elaine makes her home in Massachusetts with her musician husband and various farm animals who wander into their yard. Her first poetry collection, Belly Dancing in a Brown Sweatsuit, is due out February 2025. Is it out yet?
Yes, it came out in January.
Oh, cool. All right. Well, Elaine, we are ready to hear from you.
Thank you very much. And thank you, Jacqueline. Those poems were just so beautiful and touching. Yeah. My love story, or our love story, me and jazz rock pop in the corner there, started at South Shore Conservatory. And we were colleagues. And over time, that sort of changed. So this very first poem is called Denial, and you will understand why. It was just a kiss, a harmless kiss, a friendly kiss. Two colleagues bidding adieu, wishing each other a safe journey home, with a kiss that might have lingered too long. Swept away by the jazz and the heat and the wine and the moon, two vulnerable lips made contact. A shy, delicate brush at first, sweet and contemplative in the middle, then passionate and urgent before we stopped to catch our breath and our senses. It was just a kiss, a harmless kiss, a friendly kiss, and it will not change anything. So it changed everything. The second poem is called Strolling the Boulevard. It was written as an acrostic poem in response to something on Acrostic Review. I'm going to see if I can get this up so you can see what I was looking at. Can you all see that? It's called Boulevard Montmartre. But when I took a look at this, it reminded me of Faneuil Hall in Boston, which is a place that we had gone to. So I wrote this piece called Strolling the Boulevard. My hand found its home in yours, delicate within your strength. We strolled through twinkling lights, deepening the texture of the moment. Your attire effortless, crisp button down, pressed jeans, your olive skin, an exhilarating blend of gentle and sturdy. We feasted on cheese and wine in the open air. Carefree conversation flowed without boundaries. Our new relationship meant discoveries to unwrap. We clinked flutes until light mist drove all young lovers inside to enjoy the boulevard as observers, away from curious glances. That, by the way, was rejected, just so you all know. Never published. The next piece is called I Will Be Your Partner Forever. And this is a piece I wrote for our wedding. I will be your partner forever. I will be your partner today. I will be your partner forever. I am the one you can count on. Lovers, friends, confidants, companion. Together, we can face and embrace what God sends our way, and hopefully, in doing so, make a difference in the lives around us. Together, we can guide our children through the challenges of young adult and adulthood with encouragement and support. Together, we can make life more special and rewarding for our parents as they face the challenges of aging. With you by my side, the joys will be twice as joyful, and the sorrows only half as sorrowful. I am the one you can count on, forever your partner. The next piece is called All That I Am Not. And this is sort of me comparing myself to someone who is just exceptionally kind. So, all that I am not. Implausibly selfless, he is not mired by the mud of egotism. Kindness, his inner compass, accepting no other route than living life with absolute acceptance and inclusion. To alleviate others' pain, his solitary goal. So different, so refreshing, this sensitive man meets me where I am, expecting no modification, embracing my absurdity, welcoming the levity, the piece missing from a life puzzle of responsibility. This last piece is called Morning Ritual, and it doesn't really need any exclamation. Morning Ritual. Each day starts in the open air, steaming coffee, mug in hand, spouse across the table. We drink in summer's pull, the gentle ripple of the creek, the fresh aroma of newly shorn grass, rich sparkling dew on the lawn like a soft carpet of diamonds, inviting our shoeless feet to indulge. The subtle changing of season, the sun's slow western move earlier each day as the sultry season buzzes by like motor maids on bikes or bees staking their claim at the feeder. In these quiet moments, we cherish all that is sacred in our lives, giving thanks before diving into the daily grind. Thank you.
Thank you. I absolutely love the sense of playfulness in your poems, and I suspect that your personality does as well.
It is. Thank
That's
you.
great. So, just a very brief introduction about me. I have no poetic training and don't claim to know anything about poetry other than I love writing it, I love reading it, and I love sharing it. Poetry has always, from the time I can remember, has been the right vehicle for me to convey the things I see, the things I think, the things I feel. And so I'm stuck there. I will never give it up. My first book of poetry and photography, called A Clear Day in October, was published in 2016. And that has sort of launched my publication ambitions. I to date have 6 full-length collections, along with 12 chapbooks that are self-published, that are the result of my twice a year projects. One in April, where I write a poem a day based on a prompt or requested topic given to me by a friend. And then again in December for the 12 days leading up to Christmas. So I've produced 2 chapbooks a year from those 2 projects, and have been happy to send those who contributed or were interested a copy of it. Otherwise, they sit on my shelf. But I have a few poems. These are the ones that Sharon published that I don't think take any explanation. So we'll just start with the first one, called Just to Dance with You. A word is spoken, only one, We step into position. The dance begins again. Same crazy dance. I waltz, you tango. Neither of us leads. The collisions come. We knew they would. Why aren't we surprised? So many tears ago, we choreographed this nonsense, rehearsed it relentlessly, until it seems the only way we know to move. Yet there are times when we soften, let love provide the music, sway together, feel the rhythm of two hearts as one, swear to change. And then, your toes or mine, it doesn't matter. A word is spoken, only one. We step into position, the dance begins. The next poem is called Cross Traffic. Street light, late night, and there at a corner, an unexpected sight of you. I feel my heartbeat quicken, rise to near flutter, then stand still just to know you are there. You look past me, waiting for the traffic while I go with the green. You become a blur, a splash of color in the city's tapestry, and I think, no, I'm sure my heart can't take much more of you without a pacemaker. This one I'll give you a brief comment on. One of the best poetry friends I ever made started with an online chat room. And this is what led to a poem called Not the One. Tell me, don't you do it too? Stare at the monitor, type a word or two, and wonder. Picture in your mind how I might look, the sound of my voice. Think that maybe I'm the one. Shake your head to clear the thought. Type a little more, get bold, ask for details. Discover not a lover, but a friend. And then I'm going to go back to dance with It Takes Two. And you all know the next two words to that, right? It takes two. The lights go down, the beat begins. Slow passion fills the room. Your hand slips into mine, and I sweat. We step forward, timidly at first, then bolder. You throw your head back, body pressed against me. Toss your hair to say, I'm hot, and you know it, but you can't have me. I spin you out and back, stare carelessly at you to let you know I'm not interested. And in us both, a fire burns. Beneath your cold, unfeeling glance, behind my indifferent gaze, tango ignites a flame. And I must say, I do love to dance. When I was a century ago a college freshman, I took ballroom dance as my PE requisite and absolutely loved it. Um, I believe that at that point, my instructors were a couple who were international ballroom champions, and they convinced us, those who wanted to dance competitively. And I actually got a bronze medal in ballroom, international ballroom dance. So just a sidetrack on me. Back to love. This is called Apologetic Thank You. Somehow in the day-to-day busy bustle, I never seem to find the time, the way, the words to let you know. Those years, those many years that you have watched my darkness, seen in me a better day, held me relentlessly even when you doubted. Your stubborn insistence on loving me has made the difference between my night and day. Had I known it would take 20 years or more and sinking close to hell, I wouldn't have never asked you, but I did, and you said yes. And for me, thank you will never ever say enough. And then a little levity. And I'll start with a disclaimer. My wife is not a redhead. So you can just wonder where this came from. Red-haired wonder. Forgive me if I stare. I know it's not polite. But when you passed just now, the sun caught your hair like a flame and nearly blinded me. To everyone, everything else. 1,000 thoughts attacked me. Are you busy? Are you married? Can you stop? Am I too rude? Oh, sweet muses, loose my tongue and give me something clever, a word, a phrase that will stop her, hold her. Give me a chance to kneel and beg her for eternity, or just 5 minutes. Oh, heaven that gave me eyes, thank you for this sunlit vision. Let her be kind to one so bold, so common as I. And that's it. So now we are at the point where we can do open mic. And since there are, by my count, 8, 9 who have not read, plus Arlene, this is kind of arbitrary on my part, but let's do 2 poems each. And Rosemary, I will let you do Arlene's 2 poems as the last 2. And I'm going to go down the list that I see on my participants. We're going to start with Marianne, if you would
Me.
like to read.
Jim, could I be on that list too?
Well, is your name not on your
Is
name?
my name on the list, Jim?
Well, yes, because you're in the participants.
Oh, I get it. So
Okay.
all of the participants are on the list, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
Those who haven't read will have a chance to do 2 poems. And just as a courtesy, let's not make them 10-minute poems each. All right.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. This has been a wonderful afternoon. I've enjoyed listening to everybody. I guess here's a love poem from when my husband and I were newlyweds in Lafayette, Indiana. Travels with the Gray Ghost. Back then, we drove everywhere, even to Burrito Loco, the place on top of the hill we thought of as steep in our flat state of Indiana. Shifting gears on the incline, you drove the Gray Ghost up the shadowy street, space between elsewhere's blotches of bright lights, the mall and chain restaurants, plants strung out on the south side of town, campus to the west, students wedged into Harry's. Its sound system blasted Nellie's Hot in Here all spring. Burrito Loco's jukebox was silent, maybe repossessed, maybe sold. I don't recall other customers as we talked over the grill's sizzle. Ghosts, even at this restaurant, dark men must have sat near us. I didn't know their language. You might have tried out your Spanish the way you did at Mexico Lindo, a restaurant bathed in bright light. But I remember Burrito Loco, our steak burritos, their beans and avocados as dark and soft as the night we clung to. By fall, we too would be gone, the Gray Ghost still parked on a pitch black street, still haunting this town. Okay.
You want to do another?
Sure, yeah. This, I guess, is a love poem, but it's about characters. It's called Van Gogh's Stairway. Listening to Van Morrison's song, Van Logh's Stairway, Thelma mishears it as Van Gogh's Stairway. One more place for her and Cassot to walk in Arles. At night, they'd climb to see the stars fizzing, then falling like large snowflakes to the summer ground. Days they'd ascend before a late lunch at the night cafe after a tour of the Yellow House, their heads giddy with images and paint fumes, the moon somewhere, nowhere. She imagines looking out to the cornfields or banks of irises, seeing a red-haired man bent over his Bible. She knows the fields are gone, even in France. She knows Cassot is gone. Crows now fly from lawn to lawn, hopping on the clipped grass. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Marietta, would you like to read?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
2 poems.
Okay. My first poem is published in Four Feathers Press, entitled Memories. Our love mixes with seaweed, a sweet memory, sprinkled with salt. It grows between the breeze and the hurricane, the fruit of an inner struggle. The green waves crash in a murmur that cools the warm and ancient sand. Limit perception. New tides of change cast our minds back, the courage to exist. In the space between ancientness and nowness, our perfect love is eternal, a song for a dance, an invisible one, and the wave-like movement on the shores of our hearts. We can feel our holy angels, wounded wings, echoes of a distant cry. In every salty breath, a prayer and a promise. Between freedom and selfdom, we fathom our geodesic spiritual sphere out. The reality is circumjacent, contiguous eyesight. The voice of God becomes an echo to inhabit the twilight world. And the second one is entitled A Mirror-Cested Poem for the Butterflies. The light adorns the butterfly's magic wings in flight. Flight is his beauty and the anemone's delight. Wings flutter freely and the delicate spring can swing. Swing dances he teaches the white flowers with his wing. Breeze finds him out among the blooming red buckeye trees. Trees push his innocent pure spirit into the breeze. Dance nurtures the flower to put her into a trance. Trance is his way to gather pollen freely to dance. Dreams fury rise in crimson when the sweet flower gleams. Gleams of dawn in the sky are his love powerful dreams. Charms are her powers to fling herself into his arms. Arms are his wings when he searches for some other charms. Thank you.
Thank you. Lori Levy, would you like to read?
Sorry, I came late and sorry I missed the beginning and I just came to listen this time, so I won't read.
Not a problem. Mary McCarthy.
Okay, these aren't really love poems, but they're what I have here. Recently, I just had surgery, and these were kind of inspired by the experience. Pre-op. The pain that took me to the surgeon's office wakes me up, grounds me. Nothing can be as convincing that at the end and the beginning, there is the body, bearing both the dearest sweetness and the dark, unforgivable seed we will bite down on and at last be swallowed as we swallow all the sweetness and all the pain. In that great forgetting, waiting like a blessing no one can argue out of, that promise always there if you care to look. Clouds tumbled up in bright regiments of shining air, crows warming their feet on the humming wires that carry our voices, singing across endless acres, stars that measure time and distance in immensities that stagger comprehension, secrets we can learn to read if only we are small and brave enough to rest in astonishment at our so brief and everlasting lives. And this one is called Post-op. Post-op. When I expected pain and there was none, it was a gift I wasn't sure how to open. In the closet of the body, where each movement must be bargained for, each day framed with the recovery of damages unplanned for, the space between the hours grows to infinity, cool and impersonal as the moon at midnight, halfway down the sky, while I must remember patience, the way a tree outwaits winter, its roots alive, quiet and full of power, like rivers, sinewy and muscled below hard ice, waiting for spring's explosive break. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That brings us to Rachel.
Okay, so for Sharon, I'm going to read another love poem to a cat. For Kate, this is from my book, For Kate, a Love Story in 4 parts. Your hair smells like gin, crisp of the forest, cold. You spent a day hoarding sunlight, posing on one windowsill after another, washing yourself of winter. You followed the light east to west. By evening, you'd soaked so many rays, you were gravid with heat, gold, and that juniper scent. You hold my wrist between your teeth, your pupils dark moons, your sky blue eyes. You do not break skin. You murmur a one-syllable seduction, bare pink belly to night's rain-spangled kiss. I push my face into your flank. I cannot resist you. And the other one is, okay, this is a new poem, inspired by somebody I met online, that there might be something there. So it makes life interesting. It's called Hot Damn. Tyrants plunder your most intimate places, under nails black, fondling secrets kept only for special. A million snakes flick tongues around the house, licking. Storm. Everyone is a villain in someone else's story. What are you going to do about anything beyond the reach of your own small nose? What you need is a hot damn trombone player, a boogie band sliding you down all that brass glory, pulling your feet out of the chair, a toe-tapping drink spill, joy not quite forgotten. See your own face reflected in golden shine, seeds possibility planted in the garden between quarter and half notes. Sing from the heart. Sometimes only a plunge will do, horns diving deep. Come on, Jazz, grab your white hat. Get on up here. Can you feel the burn? That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Rosemary, if you will do your 2 poems and then the 2 that you picked from Arlene.
Okay. My two poems are love poems in their own way. One of them, and I think I ought to explain this, the first one, I have a second husband. I also had a second chance at love, and I'm a very happy woman. And my ex died, and I thought about our relationship, and then I thought it's not always one person's fault. It tends to be both persons' fault, in inverted commas. We are both responsible for the marriage going south. So here it is, in remembering my ex, whom I didn't hate. September. Years wrapped into a handkerchief of forgetting. Lover, husband, friend, father of my children. An enigma forged by your father and those who came before him. I looked at you in the embers of our promises, misread needs you didn't understand, mislabeled instances of extreme sadness. How could I not recognize gentleness when you reached out time and again, shy as a mimosa? Try to remember the kind of September when life was slow and oh so mellow. They were singing your song, my tender friend, and only now I realize that behind the wall you built from cynicism and laughter were tears I failed to dry. And the other one is about my mother. And it was from a time when I grew up in World War II, when we had nothing to eat, and my mother just wanted to make a surprise for me. Apple crumble with love. I didn't know about grown-up desperation then. Had got used to carrots, potatoes, and water. Didn't mind porridge made with wheat, ground in Mum's lap with our old coffee grinder. Had no idea what coffee was. I knew whey, not milk. Butter was a foreign word. There was something nice in a slice of dark bread with a layer of mashed potatoes. Sometimes I brought home an egg, stolen, still warm, from under one of Frau Keller's hens. For my birthday, Mum made an apple crumble with flour, water, and a few apples which had overwintered in a drawer wrapped in newspaper. At the time, I didn't understand why Mum was crying when she tried to prise the beautiful apple crumble from the baking tray with a hammer and a chisel. Thank you.
Thank you, Rose. And now the two poems from Arlene.
So you're reading the first two, no?
No, we're only going to do two of them, and you're going to read them.
Oh, I see. I thought
I'm
we were
going to
reading.
skip my part.
Okay, then I read the ones I said I would. Marriage. Marriage is a spiritual contract, a dovetail joint of two souls beyond religious beliefs or cultural design. It sets hearts into a framework where what you put in is what you receive. It's a cosmic abode where the balance of sun and moon dwells, strong through the winds of change, bright as Venus on a clear night when joy makes its home in your joining. Marriage is you and me as we celebrate the fire, day in and day out, our very breath, the bellows of love. And the second one of her poems is called When We Are Old. When we are old, and you have carved all the masks inside you, when I have built a temple of words from light, when we have seen each leaf turn malachite at sunrise, sung every curve of each other's body, smelled the breath of a million crimson twilights, sipped the liquor of our smiles over miles of seasons, laughed the last star too deep to sleep with the joke of knowing ourselves, alone and together, then, when we are old, may the foamy tongue of a hungry sea lap us up on some new shore, ripe for lovers.
Thank you. And if you have not had a chance to read Arlene's love story, I put the link in the chat and you can visit there and leave a comment for her. And we're going to have, because I sort of mentally zoned out, Ethan Goff is going to read. And I think that's our last reader. The open
Thank
mic.
you. Okay, I have a couple poems that are a little bit old, and Sharon was kind enough to republish them. The first is called When My Wife Gave Birth. When my wife gave birth, she gave birth to cats, a feisty calico and a tabby who purred so loud it about shook the world. I said, "Isn't something the matter? Don't most women give birth to human babies and not cats?" She threw me a look, half glance, half glare, as if to say, "What more did you expect? You who could never give birth to anything." In all likelihood, my wife and I will survive our children, leaving us lonely and alone to live out our days. And the second is called This House We Built. This house we built, a man, a woman, and two cats, perfect family, just as God intended. This house that built us, foundation miles thick, picture windows streaming with life, yellow shingles and orange fence blazing with light. This house the contractors built, for cash, although with a certain pride or perhaps even love, that they were making something lasting to bind the universe in its small way. Is it love that builds things? Or is it cement, nails, wood and plaster? Or is it money? This house we had built, or that always existed, surrounded by birdsong and the trees we planted, by scampering squirrels, by rabbits feasting on the tall fescue. This house made of commerce, made of love. This house we built, a man, a woman, and two cats, the perfect family just as God intended. So unlike two men and a baby, a man, a woman, two dogs and a gerbil, a woman, a child, a goldfish, abominations all, unless they are built with love and kindness. Thank you.
Thank you. And that concludes our readings for today. I'm going to stop the recording and we'll have some time to visit.